Okay, this is a recording, okay, going up to Facebook because I'm not allowed to broadcast because Facebook had deemed it fit that for me to try and show people what exactly is going on with regards to the power struggle that's taking place on this planet. And I uploaded some slides that linked a particular aggressive fascist party in Germany to a particular aggressive fascist religion in Europe, and I got banned. I got banned for doing live broadcasting, and what they did is they banned me for 30 days, and that was about 28 days ago. 2 days ago I looked at the status, and the status said that I was still in ban by 23 days. And then later on that day, because of another slide that was done in the same post that got me banned the first time, has slapped me back to 30 days. So really, they're going to string me on for being banned basically forever. So I'm doing this recording because I've been banned. And I'll tell you the reason why I've been banned. Because now we're living in a world where it is unpopular to tell the truth. George Orwell even said, in an age of deceit, telling the truth could be called treason. We're living in a world where it is treasonous and treacherous to tell the truth because of people who do not want us to know the truth, who want to suppress the truth. We're living in the COVID-19 coronavirus. I am not naming it coronavirus or COVID-19. I'm now calling it for what it is. Event 201. And if you don't know what I mean by that, for you people out there, Event 201. I'll tell you who it was hosted by, just so you can get to grips with what actually happened. Okay? I'm going to quote from a screen grab I took of Event 201. And when you see who was in Event 201, it will shock you. Okay, let me get my Event 201 list. Here is the list for the Event 201. Present at the Event 201 that took place in October 2019, last year. The Event 201 was erected, put together, organized and marshaled by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It was hosted at the Johns Hopkins Center for Disease Control in New York. Present: Latoya Abbott, Management Risk, Global Senior Director, Occupational Health Service, Marriott International. Marriott International is a group of hotels. Sophia Borges, Senior Vice President, UN Foundation. Brad Connett, President, U.S. Medical Group, Henry Scheck Incorporated. Christopher Elias, President, Global Development Division, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Tim Evans, former Senior Director of Health, World Bank Group. George Gao, Director General, Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention, China, CDC. Avril Haines, former Deputy Director, Central Intelligence Agency, former Deputy National Security Advisor. And what's that expression, by the way, they have about the ONI as portrayed in Jack Kennedy, the film JFK? Once ONI, always ONI. Once CIA, always CIA. Once NSA, always NSA. Jane Halton, Board Member, ANZ Bank, former Secretary of Finance and former Secretary of Health, Australia. Matthew Harrington, Global Chief Operating Officer, Edelman. Martin Kernachel, Head of Crisis, Emergency and Business Continuity Management, Lufthansa Group Airlines. Eduardo Martinez, President, the UPS Foundation. Stephen Redd, Deputy Director of Public Health Services and Implement Science, U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Hastig Tagia, Vice President and Executive Advisor, NBC Universal. Adrian Thomas, Vice President, Global Public Health, Johnson & Johnson. Lavan Turu, Chief Representative, Monetary Authority of Singapore. So you have there present, the CIA is present, the World Bank is present, Lufthansa Air is present, World Media will be present, the US Center for Disease Control was present, the Chinese Center for Disease Control was present, the Bill and Melinda Gates was present, and a few other very powerful people, and it was hosted in the Johns Hopkins Center. Now you're going to turn around and tell me that the world's intelligence organizations, and the leaders, the so-called allegedly elected leaders of the world's governments and the peoples of the world did not know that this was going down. What was the purpose of this event 201? Oh yes, to discuss the purpose of managing globally a mass pandemic. This was in October 2019. Last year. They rolled it out as a live exercise into real time by about late January, early February. This is no coincidence. This was planned. And this was planned to bring everybody down for one reason. Down on their knees. On their knees. So that everybody could be ready and primed to accept their digital certificate from Bill Gates. Number 2. This is speaking to the British people. There are two politicians. There are two politicians which I believe should be sacked. And they're advising Boris Johnson over what's happening in England. I live in a small, tiny little island. And when you live on a small, tiny little island, as anybody who ever lived during World War II knows, that living on a small tiny island with an imploding economy and resources dwindling will put us back in Ration Book Britain very quickly. Go and talk to people who lived in Britain during World War II. Go and talk to them. They implemented rationing in, I think it was 1940. Only about 5 years before World War II came to an end. And the ration book period lasted from 1940 up till 1955. That meant that resources were scarce. All because of World War II. Now that's a war that took place. We're in a different war now. And this war is nothing to do with COVID-19 coronavirus. This is a war to do with Bill Gates and Event 201 that has been foisted upon every person. Now there are two people in this country who serve in the position of advising our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, who have a direct conflict of interest. Chris Whitty, that if you type Chris Whitty on Wikipedia, you'll find out that he has known affiliates and associated and has known ties to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So whose interest is he serving in British politics? Whose interest is he serving? Is he serving the interests of the British people, or is he serving the interests of his own pocket and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Event 201? And into the bargain is another individual who's in politics, Matt Hancock. and he has got connections with, and it has financed has financial arrangements and dealings with a British pharmaceutical corporation, Biopharma, I believe it's called. Whose interest is he serving? And these two people, Matt Hancock and Chris Whitty, are the ones that are telling Boris Johnson to tell you, you British people, get on your knees, be house arrested, and wait until they come and vaccinate you. The only man who's been courageous enough to do something about this and try to stir up people so that they can protest against the system is a man called Richard D. Hall. And I take my hat off to this man, because he's putting his life on the line to explain to the British people why it is Event 201 has made us slaves and has put us under house arrest and has stopped us sharing and shaking hands with each other and being normal human beings. All for the fear of what? For the fear of a virus that actually could easily be mistaken for actually exosomes. Which, by the way, if you ever do a study, go and have a look at what an exosome looks like under a microscope. Exosomes are produced when there is an overabundance of production of adrenaline in the body. Because when you are in a flight or fight situation, when you're in fear of your exact life, your body stops producing dopamine and serotonin. It dumps that, and then it starts to produce adrenaline because it needs to get the body ready for fight. But when you're in a fight situation, guess what happens? You're not producing dopamine. You're not producing serotonin, which are very good for creating at a hormonal level a balance in the body. Instead, it's producing adrenaline, and adrenaline will actually cultivate and produce and release exosomes. And exosomes can easily be mistaken under a microscope for being a COVID-19 type virus, but it's not. It is a natural biological production as a result of being scared witless. Go check it out. Don't believe me? Go check it out. I've had Facebook friends of mine who have been chatting to me in Facebook Messenger, and one of them made a remark, and this person was very scared about the fact that she sees no men out there, no man, and she used the term man in the masculine sense, that is capable of standing up and being a man, or putting up a fight and saying this is wrong in every way. Now, I said in a previous broadcast, and I got kind of rebuked by this by another friend of mine on Facebook, said the world's economy couldn't handle being in lockdown for 6 months. Well, when I did that broadcast, that caused a little bit of a reaction. And I said, well, they were planning on doing a 6-month lockdown, not just 2 weeks up until mid-June. They were planning a 6-month lockdown. Now, we have Chris Whitty, who has advised the British government and told Boris Johnson and advised him that we should go for a lockdown for a full year until a vaccination solution can be found. Do you see what they're doing? Do you not see, you British men out there, what they're doing? They have got a carrot right in front of you on a stick, and you're following that carrot, thinking that they're going to provide for you a vaccine, and they can string you along saying, oh no, it's going to be another 6 months, now we're going to be another year, now it's going to be another 2 years. And they can pull that card on you like as many times as they want until you finally wake up that you are being pistol whipped into submission into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. If you don't see what is going on here, and if you're not doing your research to find out, if you're not looking at the whole story and just eating and waffing back the mainstream media version of events, the government PR press releases that are being put out on a regular basis to keep us fat, dumb, blind and stupid and being fed on daytime TV, then you deserve being put into servitude and slavery under the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You deserve it. You deserve your kids being taken away from you and forcibly vaccinated against your will. You deserve that. And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will. What does it take, Mr. British man? I once saw a demonstration where people, all the young, aggressive, virulent men, tattooed to the nine arms, were getting in front of 10 Downing Street, in the Mall, in Parliament, in the seat of British political system, and they were protesting "Free Tommy Robinson, free Tommy Robinson." You can see all these aggressive, assertive males. Where are they now? Where are you, Mr. Fighter, Mr. Bulldog British man? Where are you now? You're cowering behind your sofa. You're frightened of the Daleks. Oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You're frightened of the sea monsters. You're frightened of the sea devil. You're frightened of the Cormanin and all the other little monsters that came out of the Doctor Who series. You have become made a scared little man. It's about time you saw what you need to do. I am not allowed to broadcast live. This post might get me banned. It is my rant. It is my rant because I believe that we are being absolutely bent, broken and purchased by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by bent, broken and purchased by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Yesterday I sent a post to all my Facebook friends about the issue of a certificate. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation wish to produce what's called a digital certificate that says you have been vaccinated. Do you know what a certificate is? Barron's Law Dictionary of Banking Terms defines and states a certificate is a paper establishing an ownership claim. Did you hear that? A certificate is a paper establishing an ownership claim. In other words, Bill and Melinda Gates, if they have their way, they will give you a digital certificate, and by doing that they're going to say they own you. Do you want to be owned by Bill and Melinda Gates? Do you want to be owned by their foundation? And by the way, under Corporate Maritime and Admiralty Law, UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, a corporation and a certificate are part of Maritime and Admiralty Law. And if you don't know anything about Maritime and Admiralty Law, now's the time for you to go and check out Maritime and Admiralty Law. This is the end of my rant. This is the end of my concern. I only earnestly pray that people get up off their knees to stand up and say to their politicians and say to their government and also inform the law enforcement officers. That's another thing. Policemen and policewomen are there to defend common law, natural common law. A police officer is there to defend legalese and the legal straw man. And police officers need to be made aware that they are now no longer policemen and policewomen. They are revenue enforcement policy agents. That's what their job is. Their job is to collect revenue and to enforce through bully boy tactics the corporate straw man. This is Maritime and Admiralty Law. If you don't know what's going on here, this is the end. We need to remind ourselves we've got to stand up. And for some of us, it is important that we do it sooner rather than later. Because I don't know how long you people in Britain can actually tolerate being put under house arrest indefinitely. Did you hear what I just said? Indefinitely. This is the end of my post. And it's with sad news. This might get me barred from Facebook.